On the Track is a web TV show about cryptozoology, natural history, green issues and whatever else the team feel like making up as they go along. Enjoy!
So, Ken, who's the new fella then? Well, I would like to introduce him. He is a great friend of mine. We go back a long way. This is my cousin Rossiter. Tell him all about you, Rossiter. He just moved to England from Sumatra. Rossiter van Griffin. I a youth outreach worker in the London Borough of Brixton. And what are you doing in that capacity? In my capacity as a youth outreach worker, I am putting tapeworm eggs in their milk.
Well, I think that was very public-spirited of young Rossiter.
I really like the old credits.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are, and for the first time since last winter, I'm wearing a sweater. Oh dear, I have long sleeves for the first time, and probably all the way through until about March or April. But, as you will remember if you watched last week's episode, and if you didn't, why not, Carl? If you didn't watch last week's episode, go back and watch it, Carl. Because if you watched last week's episode, you will know that Richard Freeman was in Gloucester doing all sorts of strange things at the first ever Fortean Film Festival. Well, something which you didn't know is that Matt and Moffy, who made the Big Cats in Britain documentary, who ran the film festival and who were our guests on the show fairly recently, are also responsible for the pilot show in what they hope is going to be a long-running series to rival the American Finding Bigfoot show. It's called Cat Hunters.
Britain, famed for its royal family, Houses of Parliament, you know, fish and chips and bad weather. But there's something else on this little island. Big cats. Yeah, that's right. Leopards, pumas, you know, long tails, pointed ears, a nasty bite.
And now you're beginning to get the measure of the show. It's massively entertaining. And I don't know who that bloke is at the beginning doing the voiceover, but golly, I wouldn't mind meeting him for a pint at the Farmer's Arms when everything goes back to normal.
They are the Cat Hunters.
And dear Richard Freeman was very busy that day because he caught up with two of the Cat Hunter team.
John, the old-timer, he spent 35 years researching the subject and has collected more poo than a London sewage truck.
So how did you get involved in this film then, John?
Well, got involved originally about 4 years ago when Matt and Tim shot my first documentary, and then after that they decided to do something else a bit more light-hearted.
Yeah.
So I went along with it all, really.
Yeah. So had you met the people that you were involved with before? Did you met the other people, the other experts, or were they all new to you?
A mixture. I had known some of them, and others I just met them for the first time.
Yeah. The guy doing the narration sounds a lot like Ray Winston, I mean.
Yes, he does, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got that sort of breathless overexcited, dramatic.
He sounds a bit like Cookie, but he's not as bad as Cookie.
Yeah.
He's like a good Cookie kind of person.
So, what did you think of the evidence then that you got?
The evidence I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good finding stuff. Yeah.
And how about the main big documentary, the big Cats in Britain one? Well, that was filmed some time ago, you say?
It was about 4 years, wasn't it?
It took some time,
It
yeah.
took some
Careful what
time.
you say, John. What are you going to say?
I don't know. What was I going to say? Yes, it's the best in the world ever.
What he said.
Ever.
What he said. There you go. You heard it from John.
It was an impressive piece of work, though. Very, very well made, very professional.
It is. I'm proud to have been part of it, actually.
And the thing that impressed me the most about that is that at the end, all the different experts from all the different fields, they're all saying, yeah, there are big cats in Britain.
Yeah, it's moving on, and that's what we want to get
Yeah.
it mainstream out there, to tell all the silly sceptical people, you know, that it really is real, and people should open their eyes and their ears and their noses and learn about it. Not that it has anything to do with them, but it's good that people know for all reasons, really.
Yeah, I'd never not seen it before, but the camera trap of the puma was very impressive.
It's quite obviously a puma, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's nothing else in Britain it could be.
We've got a lot of secret videos like that, actually, that aren't actually shown to people. But
Yeah.
it's not the only one. There's been several really good videos and even really good phone footage, actually, of leopards and pumas.
So why are they being kept under wraps?
Because people actually don't see the point to throw them into the media at the moment.
Yeah.
They're just keeping things quite even. When the time's right, they'll all be released, basically.
And is this from all over the country? Or?
Yeah, from all over, all parts of the country. Scotland, Wales, Gloucester and southern England as well.
Gloucester seems to be a hot spot at the moment, doesn't it?
It always has been, I think, a hot spot, but there's more and more people daring to report their stuff. And as the network gets bigger and bigger, more and more people know about it. You know, people know somebody who saw one, or they know farmers or landowners that saw one. So it gets around, and people aren't afraid so much as they used to tell people of their sightings.
I've been away.
Cheers, well. Thanks, Jan. Cheers.
Oh, the crypto guy. He's led expeditions all over the world, but don't show him a photo unless it's proper pucker.
So I wasn't expecting to see you turn up in that film about the Exmoor beast.
Was I actually? Originally, me and Tim Whittard got into a bit of an argument online.
Yeah.
Basically, I was expecting this documentary to be rubbish because most big cat documentaries are rubbish.
Yeah.
And wow, I was really, really wrong, and sort of made up a friendship from there. And then he just asked me if I'd like to get involved with this one. So I said, yeah.
Yeah. So the Exmoor beast one is much more light-hearted. What was the idea behind?
Yeah, I think they just wanted to have a bit of fun with it, really.
Yeah.
Sort of blends. Yeah, it's got sort of a mockumentary, really. It's absolutely not. The interviews are all genuine and everything like that, but it's just for fun.
Yeah, you did get some good evidence, though, even though if it was a light-hearted documentary, you did pick up some good evidence.
Yeah. Well, the toothpick analysis, that was really something.
The other thing that interested me, I never heard this story before, was the guy on that farm who said there used to be a fella that had a puma and a panther he'd drive round in a lorry, and then he just let them go. I'd never heard that story before.
Yeah, so that fawn-coloured cat that he mentioned that went missing, that was probably the one.
Yeah.
Could well be the exact cat.
Yeah, and that dovetails nicely with the flap at the time, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
About 83, wasn't it?
83, yeah. True Stone Farm.
I feel very honoured because I'm actually one of the few people who wasn't at the film festival who's seen the pilot of Cat Hunters. And believe me, it's great fun. It's something which deserves to get a wider viewing public, and it's something that if there was any justice in the media world, we all know there isn't, but if there is any justice in the media world, will turn up on Netflix or Amazon Prime or one of those platforms very soon. So keep on watching your screens. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the final part of my mammoth conversation with the ever delightful Katy Elizabeth. So what's the next bit of equipment you want? What's the next leap forward going to be?
Okay, well, let's see. I have the ROV, I have the hydrophone. I also set up game cameras in the marsh systems where these animals have been seen at nighttime particularly. I think they're going into the marsh systems to get food. I mean, I believe that they're mostly carnivorous, eating fish and such, because that sighting with the head and neck, which I don't really tell people about that normally because they're going to say I'm full of crap because I don't have a video, but I have the sonar and the other stuff to back it up. So that's okay. But I believe them going into the marsh, getting like the small fish, because that's a great opportunity for them. It's very, very shallow. There's snakes, there's turtles, there's fish, and there's also vegetation. They might be opportunistic feeders. There's been some stories of these animals out in the lake snatching seagulls off the surface of the water. So they could, and that's another reason why a population of these animals in the lake, they say, oh, well, if there was a population, they'd eat us out of house and home. Well, not if they're opportunistic and if they're going into a torpor-like state in the winter time, when the lake can sometimes freeze over. If they're an ectothermic species where their whole body's shutting down and they're going into a torpor-like state, they're not going to be eating at that point either. So you got plenty of time for the fish to replenish at that point as well. So the game cameras I use, and I think the next thing I'm going to get is the live sonar unit, which means it shows the movement of the animals. So the sonar unit that I have now just takes, it's a scan, of course, and you get the screenshots. You see something interesting, you just press 2 buttons and it takes a screenshot. But the other sonar is really interesting because it will actually show them swimming. It's going to show the movement, which is so important. It's not just an image, it's a movie, it's a video. And I think that's going to be really, really useful. The only problem with it is you can't go very fast with that sonar unit on. I'm hoping years to come, they will advance their technology where you can go 40 miles an hour and get that movement video. I guess going faster than 20 miles an hour kind of messes it up. Like it's not putting it out the beam fast enough, so to speak, is my recollection. But if we did some sort of experiment with bait on the side of the boat and we stay overnight and we have that sonar on while we're stationary, who knows what might show up. That would be, can you imagine a video of just this elongate thing swimming through the water? And another thing I want to mention too, before I forget, because I forget all the time, everything, too much in here. Back when we got the sonar the first time of the 2 animals on the bottom, 3 weeks later on August 29th, we got another sonar image, not on the bottom. I went back to the same spot where we had gotten those because I wanted to leave out the idea of substrate on the bottom or logs on the bottom. I said, well, we go to the same spot. If those things are gone, that's going to prove right there that they were not, stationary objects. And we went back and sure enough, they were gone. I was like, okay, awesome. But then we went further up the lake and there on the sonar, 2 elongate, same thing, 2 serpentine animals. And the one in the front, I enlarged the sonar image. You can actually see it blowing an air bubble to the surface. There's this big air bubble. So it was the same too. And I named them Puff and Elsie. So that's my names for the 2 in that location is Puff and Elsie. And matter of fact, this is my Celtic water horse necklace, Puff and Elsie.
Oh, isn't that beautiful?
So they're my spirit animals, those 2. And to capture them twice was amazing. And I'm hoping with our sonar scans, we'll get some more, pictures of them and perhaps the video on the sonar. We've been doing sonar scans for last few days. Got some interesting stuff, but nothing definitive. It's a matter of catching them again. And I believe that they seem to be in that same area. I don't know if there's any kind of caves over there or something that, there's a lot of ledges where it's really good feeding, but there's just some reason why those two particularly like that spot. And even back in the 1800s, the sighting of that Captain Crumb had in his ship was right in that area. And it was two animals. The two animals in that area, I believe they move in pairs, perhaps breeding pairs. But there's been pairs documented in sightings many, many times. But that area right there, I almost wonder, I'm like, it sounds far-fetched, but I almost wonder, like 1900s, if they could live as long as a Greenland shark, I wonder if it's the same too. Who knows? It sounds crazy, but I guess anything's possible.
Before we move on, I should tell you that my niece and nephew have just had a little girl called Elsie.
Oh my
She was
God.
born about 10 days ago. So.
Oh my gosh, what a great name. See that? Fate had it. Elsie. That's great. Congratulations on that. That's awesome.
So what's the next step for you?
I believe like probably the next thing now. I mean, I've got the sonar images. I like to get more still sonar images, of course. I would love to get a head and neck video. That would be amazing. Or a video on the ROV of them underwater. That's going to be a tough one, but you just never know. Right place at the right time. And I would say the only thing that is going to prove that these animals are here in the lake is DNA. And I worked with a television program last year. It hasn't come out yet, and I can't say what show it is because I'm under contract. You know how that goes. But they did do an eDNA test of the water, and I helped with that. And I can't really say the results of it, but let's just say it's going to be an ongoing venture on my part to keep working with the DNA testing. And I think the only problem with eDNA testing is they have to have such a huge database of things to compare it to. So we're dealing with an unknown ectothermic species, either reptile or amphibian or some strange hybrid of both. And they're not in the known fossil record. What are we going to compare it to? It's going to show up unknown. That's the problem. So unless they can differentiate, say, this is an unknown reptile, unknown amphibian, then that would probably be the best result. I think that's the best we're going to get, if that's even possible with the DNA testing.
I don't know if eDNA can be as specific as that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe perhaps with technology getting better and better, maybe in the future, it's definitely going to be a lot easier. I think time is all it's about. It's being patient and just working with the technology as it grows and grows every year. But I mean, that's really going to be the only proof, because the problem is there's so many photo is not going to do it. You know, like the Mansi photo, people say it's a log. I'm on the lake all the time. I've never seen a log stand up with such a strange arch in it like this that's actually going to stand up enough. Oh, there's all these bubbles that are whole. From what I saw, that head and neck sighting was the same damn thing. There's no way in hell, in my opinion, and I know because I'm out here every day on the lake, that's a damn log. It's just, but you have, no matter what, even if it's a video, oh, somebody went out there with a vacuum cleaner hose and they did, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like everybody's going to doubt it. That's just the way it goes, because they want a body. There's people out there that want to go and shoot one. I mean, that's why I wrote a law in New York State to protect Champ. I think, to me, that was the biggest accomplishment that I've made, to protect a species that is most likely critically endangered, because we have Loch Ness and the lakes where you got your video over in Ireland. These types of animals, I believe they're the same species, are very closely related, and they're only in so many lakes around the world, around the Boreal Forest Belt. So we're dealing with a very rare species, and I believe that they should be protected, because you get crazy people that just want that fame and notoriety of proving it by killing one. And I don't believe that's necessary in order to prove it.
That's one of the problems with cryptozoology. It's something that hangs over us all, that if we discover something new, then some idiot is going to see that as a message from God that he can go out and shoot it.
Oh, I absolutely believe that. And it's, excuse me, it's just, yeah, exactly. I mean, there's some guy, I forget what his name was, that was putting out some bounty on Bigfoot and all this mess. And it's like, these could be the last of their kind. And you're going to go and kill it. It just doesn't make any sense to me, but it's all about greed. It's all about greed is what it is. And it's, with what I try to teach people about my experiences and my passion for what I do, and for the environment too. Lake Champlain, the biggest problem out here in the lake, and that's not helping the clarity by any means, is that we have millions of gallons of sewage getting into the lake, and nobody does anything about it. And I'll tell you what, that's our drinking water here. Why isn't the EPA being contacted or doing anything? It's all about the political stuff. Everybody's got money lining their pockets, and that's all they care about. And, to have a law that I wrote passed to protect these animals was just so liberating, because, I mean, they know that there's something there. They wouldn't pass a law if they didn't know there was something there. There's so many people who have had sightings, and with all the data that I've collected, that just backs up everything. And I think that truly helped to have them take that seriously. And I wanted to place every bit of law that I can to protect them before they're proven by science, before they're proven by the DNA, because this is what I'm going to regret. There's going to be millions of idiots showing up here. It's going to be like a witch hunt. And I don't want that. I really don't want that.
If you want to support us and help us make more content like these, please press like, subscribe, follow our Facebook page, and check out our Patreon.
And as the ghost of Joe Strummer, who is a regular visit to the studio, wants me to remind you, always remember to ring the notification bell. Otherwise, you won't be told when we've got a new show available. And that would be an awful pity, wouldn't it? And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls and everybody else, brings us to the end of another show. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it edifying. I hope you found it amusing. And I hope you found it intellectually stimulating, or at least some part of all of those. I want to say a big thank you to everybody who helped this time, particularly Richard Freeman, Katy Elizabeth, Carl Marshall, Louis, Graham, Maxine, Charlotte, and of course Matt and Moffy from the Fortean Film Festival for their help and for permission to use the excerpt from their massively amusing Big Cat series pilot. So here we are. There we go. It's the end of another show. I hope you enjoyed it. And in 7 days' time, that's 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bang! I'll be back. Because Saturday afternoons is CFZ on the track time on YouTube and in your sitting room. So you just have to sit there on your watching device, whether it's a computer or a phone or a tablet or some other newfangled thing that I don't understand because I'm a silly old fool, and watch it. And I hope you enjoy it, because if you're there watching it, I'll be there somewhere in cyberspace watching you. So I'll be seeing you.